Welcome, friends, to a world shrouded in shadow, where we delve into some of history's most chilling unsolved murders. These are the cases that have baffled investigators for decades, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and lingering fear. Viewer discretion is advised, as the details are disturbing and the crime scenes too horrible to explain. The stories we're about to unravel are not for the faint of heart. They will stay with you long after the lights go out, echoing in the silence of your thoughts. But within these tales of horror, there's a flicker of hope. Perhaps together, we can shed some light on these dark corners of history, and bring a measure of peace to those forever haunted by the unknown. Los Angeles, 1947. A city bustling with life, where the glitz and glamour of Hollywood masked the darker shadows lurking in its corners. A city of dreams, a place where anything is possible. The streets were filled with aspiring actors, musicians, and artists, all hoping to make their mark. But on a cold January morning, that dream turned into a nightmare. The city that never slept was about to be jolted awake by a discovery so horrifying it would haunt its history forever. The victim, Elizabeth Short, a young woman with hopes of making it big in Hollywood. She was just 22 years old, with a life full of promise ahead of her. Her story ended not on the silver screen, but on a patch of grass, her lifeless body discovered by a horrified passerby. The scene was so gruesome, it would be etched into the minds of all who saw it. She would become known as the Black Dahlia, a nickname, we're told, taken from a film noir thriller playing in theaters at the time. The name would become synonymous with one of the most brutal murders in American history. But this was no work of fiction. The reality was far more chilling. Elizabeth Short's body was found severed at the waist, her face carved into a grotesque grin. The brutality of the crime was beyond comprehension, leaving even the most seasoned detectives in shock. The brutality of the crime shocked even the most hardened detectives. They had seen many things, but nothing like this. Who could have committed such a horrific act? The question echoed through the city as fear and suspicion spread like wildfire. Despite a massive investigation, the killer was never found. The police followed countless leads, interviewed hundreds of suspects, but the case remained unsolved. The Black Dahlia case remains one of the most infamous unsolved murders in American history. It captured the public's imagination, spawning numerous theories and speculations. Theories abound, suspects ranging from a deranged doctor to a jealous lover, but the truth remains elusive. Each new theory only adds to the mystery. Elizabeth Short, the aspiring actress, became forever frozen in time, a tragic symbol of Hollywood's dark underbelly. Her story serves as a grim reminder that beneath the surface of the city of dreams, there can lie nightmares. Northern California, the late 1960s. A time and place that seemed to embody the spirit of freedom and change. The air was filled with the sounds of protest songs and the scent of incense, as people gathered to advocate for peace and love. It was an era of peace and love, a counterculture movement that promised a brighter future. But this idyllic vision was shattered by a reign of terror that no one saw coming. The Zodiac Killer, as he called himself, preyed on young couples, their lives cut short in a series of seemingly random attacks. These were not just murders, they were calculated acts of horror designed to instill fear. But there was nothing random about the chilling calling cards he left behind. Cryptic messages, taunting letters sent to local newspapers. Each letter was a twisted masterpiece of psychological warfare. He claimed responsibility for the murders, boasting of his deeds, threatening more to come. His letters were filled with a mix of arrogance and menace, as if he reveled in the chaos he created. Each letter, a puzzle within a puzzle, filled with strange symbols and coded messages. These ciphers were not just a means of communication, they were a game, a challenge to the authorities to catch him if they could. The ciphers, a desperate attempt to crack the killer's identity, to understand the twisted mind behind the mask. They drew in not just seasoned investigators but also amateur sleuths, all trying to decode the enigma. Despite the efforts of seasoned investigators and amateur sleuths, the Zodiac's true identity remains a mystery. The more they tried to uncover, the more elusive he became, like a ghost slipping through their fingers. Was he a cunning mastermind, toying with the authorities? A man who found joy in the suffering of others, always staying one step ahead? Or a disturbed individual seeking notoriety from the shadows? Someone who craved attention and used fear as his tool? The questions linger, the answers lost in a labyrinth of codes and speculation. Each clue seemed to lead to more questions, each answer more elusive than the last. The Zodiac Killer, a phantom menace, vanished as quickly as he appeared, leaving behind a legacy of fear and unanswered questions. His story remains one of the most haunting mysteries of the 20th century, a dark 1922, a remote farmstead near the Bavarian village of Hinterkaifeck, Germany. This was a place where the rhythms of life were dictated by the seasons, where the outside world seemed a distant echo. The farm, nestled in the heart of the Bavarian countryside, was a picture of pastoral serenity, a place where time seemed to stand still, a place where life was simple, untouched by the outside world. The Gruber family, who lived there, were known for their hard work and resilience, embodying the spirit of rural Germany. Their days were filled with the toil of farming, their nights with the quiet of the countryside, but that tranquility was shattered on a cold March evening. The sun set over the farm, casting long shadows that seemed to foretell the darkness to come. The air was thick with an unspoken tension, a sense of foreboding that hung over the farm like a shroud. 6 souls, brutally murdered in their home, a family and their maid, their lives extinguished in a frenzy of violence. The scene that greeted the authorities was one of unimaginable horror, a tableau of death that defied comprehension. The killer, it seemed, had been lurking in the attic for days, observing his victims, waiting for the opportune moment. The thought of someone hiding above them, watching their every move, added a layer of terror to the already horrifying events. Strange occurrences had plagued the family in the weeks leading up to the murders: footsteps in the snow, leading to nowhere, mysterious sounds in the night, and objects inexplicably moved from their places. These unsettling events were dismissed as figments of imagination, but in hindsight, they were ominous harbingers of the tragedy to come. Voices whispering from the attic. The family had heard these whispers, but they could never find the source. It was as if the very walls of their home were conspiring against them, hiding secrets that would only be revealed in the most brutal way. Were these the signs of an intruder, a harbinger of the horror to come, or were they figments of a family's growing paranoia, a manifestation of their deepest fears? Or were they figments of a family's growing paranoia? The Grubers had become increasingly anxious, their once peaceful home now a place of dread and suspicion. They had no way of knowing that their fears were not unfounded, that the danger was all too real. The murder weapon, a pickaxe, was found at the crime scene, but it offered little in the way of clues. It was a tool of their daily life, now turned into an instrument of death. The brutality of the murders was matched only by the mystery that surrounded them. The investigation, hampered by the limitations of the time, yielded no arrests, no answers. The detectives of the 1920s were faced with a case that seemed to defy logic, a puzzle with pieces that refused to fit together. Despite their best efforts, the truth remained elusive. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain a chilling reminder that even in the most isolated corners of the world, darkness can lurk, waiting to strike. The farm, once a symbol of rural tranquility, now stands as a monument to a mystery that has never been solved, a testament to the enduring power of fear and the unknown. Philadelphia, 1957. A city grappling with its own share of secrets, but none as heartbreaking as the mystery of the boy in the box. A young boy discarded like a broken toy, his tiny body found in a cardboard box, discarded on the side of a road. He was malnourished, his body bearing the marks of abuse, his story silenced before it could even be told. Who was this child? Where did he come from? And who could commit such a heinous act against an innocent soul? Despite countless leads and tireless efforts, the boy's identity remains a mystery, his killer still at large. The case continues to haunt investigators, a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that can lurk in the shadows. The boy in the box, forever nameless, his story a tragic reminder of the children who vanish without a trace, their voices silenced too soon. Villisca, Iowa, 1912. A small town, a place where everyone knows their neighbor, where life moves at a slower pace. But on a hot summer night, that peace was shattered, the silence broken by an unspeakable act of violence. 8 souls, an entire family and 2 young guests, brutally murdered in their sleep. The murder weapon, an axe, left at the scene, a chilling reminder of the brutality inflicted upon the victims. The house, a silent witness to the carnage, still stands today, a grim reminder of the horrors that unfolded within its walls. Suspects emerged, rumors spread like wildfire, but the killer, or killers, were never brought to justice. Was it a jealous neighbor, a scorned lover, or a drifter passing through leaving a trail of blood in his wake? The Villisca axe murders remain one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries in American history, a chilling reminder that even in the heartland, darkness can prevail. These cases remain open, haunting the families and communities affected. The victims, forever denied justice, their stories etched in the annals of criminal history. If you have any information, please contact the authorities. Even the smallest detail could be the missing piece, the key to unlocking the truth. Thank you for watching, and stay safe. Remember, the world can be a dark place, but together, we can shine a light on the shadows and seek justice for those who can no longer speak for themselves.